Welcome back to Jiu Jitsu. So we're looking at the mount position, and once you're in the mount position, ways to start attacking. Remember, one of the things that we want to do when you mount, and this is a goal anytime you're doing Jiu Jitsu, is if you can separate your partner's arms, you can isolate arms, and that's one of the keys to setting up joint locks. That's really a real key fundamental to pinning someone, is separating their arms so it's hard for them to turn, because you've almost like crucifixed them with their arms, and that's a really good way to expose chokeholds too. So one of the real defensive postures in Jiu-Jitsu is always to keep yourself kind of small, your elbows in, your legs in tight so you can move and you can defend yourself from arm locks and chokes. So the opposite of that is extension. So the mount is a great position to extend the arm. So one of the reasons we're going to look to mount, when you get to this position, is keeping your knees in and getting kind of tall so you can start using your height to start separating arms. There's a couple ways this can happen. Sometimes you can be real low and applying pressure, and your partner starts using their hands as they shouldn't, and they start pushing, and then you can start separating their arms. So sometimes it's one of those things where you're applying pressure and your partner maybe is tired, they can't breathe, and they start pushing on you and doing what they shouldn't, and you can slide up under their arms, and then you can start separating arms because now you're up underneath the armpits. If your partner's elbows are in, I want to get myself nice and tall, and I start using kind of a sideways, where I'm pushing kind of sideways where the arm is not that strong, and I start trying to pin one arm. And what I'm trying to do is set up a reaction of the Americana here to get my partner to expose his other arm, exactly like that. And if that arm does not come across, I'm going to drop my elbow. I'm going to start looking to position myself for that American lock. And this is a really strong technique if it's not defended. As long as I keep my wrist really hooked over my partner's wrist, and I have myself in a position to really pull this arm back, there's a tremendous lock here. A lot of times people turn before you get that lock, but what that does is it gives me the ability to separate arms. Okay, and this is really what I was looking for. I need a position where I have these various different attacks, because from this position I can go to an arm lock on this arm. I could also look to take the back. Right? There's exposure for triangle as well if this leg comes across the neck. And I could also return to that Americana lock if this arm didn't work out and my partner was defending. But we'll look at from this position the straight arm bar. So I keep the arms separated. Okay, so one of the mistakes people make in the arm bar is when they step over, they let the partner lock their hands, and now you got to break hands, and that could be a difficult thing. So I have this arm pinned, and I have this arm pinned, so I want to keep them apart. So as I lean my head away, I just keep the hand apart. When I step over the head, I keep the hands apart. So that's why this hand's here. And I have control of this arm so the hands can't lock. And then as I lay back, I can control two hands on the wrist and finish the arm bar. So you just have to, your goal is to separate the arms. You don't want to let them reconnect as you step over, which is common. People forget about that, and then they lose the move right at the last second. Okay, so I get real tall, and I start pushing. Right when I feel that down, if I don't get the reaction, I start dropping my elbow down, repositioning my base, and start looking to attack the Americana. Okay, typically right when you pin the arm, the other one will shoot across, and then I catch and I try to pull it away. So I have control of this arm, I pull that one away, step over the head, and as I sit, I still have control of this arm, and I can keep that arm apart while I go for my finish. And I want to finish with that elbow right over my hip bone. Okay, so you have a good strong position to finish that arm lock.